Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever it is that you are, wherever you may be. Thank you very much for making us a part of your day. I am Brad Franklin, creative content right here in Chesterfield. I'm very glad to tell you that Chesterfield Behind the Mic is on the air once again. Got a really interesting show planned for you today, and one that, you know, I don't think this is overstated at all to say that this show could help save a life. And in what I do and what I've always done, that's not always been a thing. So I'm actually really excited to welcome Sal Luciano, who is the Chief Deputy Fire Marshal for Chesterfield County Fire EMS. Sal, first off, welcome to the show. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having us, Brad.
I'm really glad for you to be here. We're going to talk today about something that's new to the county, that's new definitely to me, and I'm sure a lot of folks out there who are watching or listening to the show. PulsePoint, which is a really cool opportunity for people to get involved in a very specific way. Before we get into that, I want to talk to you a little bit about sort of your background and how you kind of came to be involved in Fire EMS, how it was that you are sitting here today. I think it's always good for folks to get a sense of when it's a public service, somebody, whether it's fire, rescue, police, whatever that might be, to get the sense of like how it was that you came to be where you are. And I'm curious, how was it that you came to be here in Chesterfield?
Yeah, so I grew up in New Jersey, and I went to James Madison University.
Okay, so did I, for the record.
Did you?
Yeah, class of 2003. Yep.
I'm a little bit older than you, just a couple years.
I threw you a curveball there. You weren't expecting that.
No, I wasn't. So when I graduated from that, I had a degree in economics and finance. So I did accounting for a couple of years and realized that sitting behind a desk wasn't my thing.
Wasn't your bag, huh?
And so I started volunteering a little bit where I lived. I moved here to state in Virginia once I graduated JMU, and just decided that this was a passion of mine and that I really wanted to do it. And I've been here about 18 years. Filled all the ranks all the way up to my rank as battalion chief. I'm filling the role of chief deputy fire marshal for the last 4 years. Yeah. Which has been very interesting and a great process. I'm back sitting behind a desk again. But 18 years later, I think I'm ready for it. It's not so bad.
I hear you.
So in our office, I'm in charge of the Fire and Life Safety Division, which houses the fire marshals who do inspections and investigations on causes and fires, as well as the public educators who go to the schools and teach a lot of these programs that we're going to talk about here, and as well as the public information officer and some civilian engineers that review plans for safety.
Good deal. Now, in terms of, before we get to PulsePoint specifically, I'm just curious, I feel like there are just a multitude of different ways for people to get involved who want to help out their communities. And one of the things that I'm always struck by whenever I talk with anybody from Fire EMS is it seems like your department, your group is always looking for people to help out, right? And it makes total sense. But I'm just curious, in terms of the opportunities for, just regular old, Joe Blow citizen to get involved, it seems like this opportunity is one of the easiest, in part because, as we'll talk about in a second, what PulsePoint is, that so much of what it requires is not necessarily as intense maybe as, getting certified and a lot of different things, or going through, fire training or what have you. And I'm just curious, from your point of view, looking out, how in the pantheon of like ways for people to get involved, how easy is this one specifically?
This is extremely easy. This is about having the right tools, knowing that this exists is really the key. And that's why I was glad you had me on here this morning, is because just getting the word out is really the key. Right. For the folks doing it, it's just having the awareness, the training, which we could provide, and I could talk to you about that if people aren't trained.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And there's no ongoing training, like a lot of the certification. You don't become certified in CPR. You don't need the full-blown certification class that takes a long time and that has to consist of recertification every couple of years. This is very simple, and it's a great opportunity. You truly could save a life with very little effort on your side. Just being aware and being in the right place at the right time. Yeah.
So let's talk about PulsePoint. How long has Chesterfield sort of been, involved in the process of bringing this to Chesterfield? How long have you guys been, planning processors? What did it require? And talk to the folks about sort of what PulsePoint is and how it all works.
Yeah, so PulsePoint's been around for a little over 10 years. It's a nonprofit company. And in other departments, Fairfax has had it for a few years, City of Richmond, down in Virginia Beach. But locally here in the Central Virginia area, besides us in the City of Richmond, that is all that has it. But the key to PulsePoint is that it has to work smoothly with the ECC, the communications dispatchers, and our aided dispatch system. So because it's so complicated, our system was kind of outdated, couldn't handle it prior to now. We have recently updated in the Emergency Communications Center the CAD system, which is what dispatches calls. When we switched to that, it gave us the opportunity to now bring in PulsePoint.
Right.
So we kind of needed that opportunity to happen. We couldn't do it before now, and we took advantage of as soon as it was able to work with our system to bring it on. And we brought it on. We launched at the beginning of January, so this is fairly new. And as of last week, we had over 700 users in Chesterfield County that have already downloaded the app.
Yeah. So folks who might be out there, so the idea here, and jump in at any point if I'm leading us down the wrong path. So the idea here is that you have an app on your phone. You're CPR certified. You download the app. You basically tell the app, hey, I'm CPR certified. What the app does then is it basically works with Chesterfield's fire EMS system to, in the event that there's a call, and again, this is a very important part of this whole plan, is that a 911 call has to be initiated. This is not going to happen just because somebody has some sort of cardiac situation. If that call to 911 is the part where it kind of kicks all this off. Right. So you're not going to be worried about having to just figure this out on your own. The app is going to tell you, hey, this is what's happening. It's gonna know your location because you've told the app, hey, I'm out and about. The app is going to give you a notification to say, hey, this situation is happening near you, and you can basically sort of step in. Again, 911 call has already gone out, so responders are on their way. This is basically the attempt to get someone who is nearby to step in and help that person until those first responders can get there. Is that a good summation?
It is. And so really our slogan is learn CPR, download the app, save a life. Yeah. It's that easy. And so learn CPR. You don't have to be certified. We just ask that you've had some sort of training.
Right.
There's no verification purposes. When you download the app, there's no verification. You just say, yes, I know CPR, and yes, I'm willing to help. So there's a couple of different things on the app too. Part of PulsePoint and part of the goal is to have informed and engaged a community. Right. Really, that's what it is. So right now you could go to the county website and you could see active calls for fire and EMS. Right. This does the same thing but on your phone. So you can you download the app, you follow Chesterfield County. You can follow other counties as well. You can follow City of Richmond, Virginia Beach. There's also a spot on there you could push a button and listen to radio traffic. So you could hear what the dispatchers are dispatching. You could hear what the units are saying. So it gives you just an idea of what's going on in your community. And we think that's important. You see smoke in an area, you can look at the app and say, oh, there's a structure fire here. It will tell you there's a structure fire. It will give you mapping. Right. It will tell you the address. It will tell you what units are on scene. It gives the citizens a lot of power and a lot of knowledge of what's going on in their community. And that's important.
Right. Absolutely.
Now, if it is a medical emergency for people's privacy, we don't give the address, specific address, and we just call it a medical emergency because you don't want everyone to know what's going on.
Absolutely, for sure.
So if you choose, you could just follow that part. You could download the app and just follow. If you don't know CPR and not willing to help, you could just be aware of what's going on in your community.
So Sal, tell me this: if somebody is certified in CPR, how do they get in? Like, what's the next step for them? What do they do?
So once they download the app and they can see the active calls, if they've been trained in CPR and want to receive the notification, they just choose that on the app to be notified. And the key to it is that it only notifies you if you're within a quarter of a mile of the incident and the incident is in a public location. Right. So if it's at someone's private residence, you won't even know about it. Right. Or if it's 2 miles away, you won't know about it. Really what you're trying to get is when you're close. So let's say you're at a big box store, right? And you're a few aisles away. You don't even know that someone's having a heart attack a couple aisles away, and you could be able to help. You know CPR, you've been trained, and you could help, but you're not aware that it's happening. Right. That's where the app comes in. It'll send you a notification. It will tell you the location. It will even map you to the address. It will show you where the closest AED is, and they could click a button saying they're responding. And then when they get there, they can start performing CPR. There's instructions to remind them the proper way of doing CPR. It's a great app. It really can make a difference. And here in Chesterfield County, we do a great job of having a quick response. But there's still a delay in drive time. Right. I mean, if the units are in quarters in the stations and they head that way and they don't hit lights, it's not rush hour. It's still going to take a few minutes. Right. the person gets notified on their phone the same time that our folks in the stations get notified. So when they get notified and they start responding, the person who's a quarter of a mile away or less can be there quickly and start CPR. And that's really the key to survivability of a sudden cardiac arrest is the quick act of a citizen or somebody nearby, as well as an AED if it's possible.
Yeah. I want to get back to AEDs in a second, but I pulled this number from the PulsePoint website. In the last 24 hours, there were 90 CPR needed activations, 230 responders alerted, 270 nearby AEDs identified, and 94 AEDs added. Now, I want you to talk to me a little bit about AEDs and well, first off, for folks who may not know what those are, and then also the role that AEDs play in not just your overall response, but specifically in what PulsePoint does.
Yeah, so AEDs is an automatic defibrillator. So it basically shocks the heart. And that has found to be the biggest difference between surviving or not surviving a cardiac arrest. Now, there's different reasons people have a cardiac arrest. Right. So the AED shocking the heart doesn't always work, and it may not always do it. Right. But, we push AEDs, and you see a lot of businesses have them now, gyms. But if people don't know they're there or don't know how to use them, they're not going to do what they're there for. But between hands-only CPR, which we call hands-only, we no longer do the ventilations part. Compressions only, and the ability to shock the heart, it really is what makes a difference early on in a sudden cardiac arrest.
And let's say folks who may, let's say they own a business who would like to have an AED. How do you go about adding an AED to your location? Is there a process for that? What do they do?
So there is. So part of PulsePoint, there's two apps. So one is the PulsePoint Respond, and that's what we've been talking about. There's also PulsePoint AED, and that allows people to download that app on their cell phone, and then either if they're in a public place and they see one and they want to register it for us, or if they own it, it's their business, they could enter it in. It's very quick and easy. They could take a picture of it so we know where it is. They put the model, the type, things like that, and it sends us an email. We send somebody out there and we verify. And once we verify, it uploads it into the PulsePoint Respond app.
Oh, nice.
So then the dispatchers know it's there. The responders know it. We know, Fire and EMS knows it's there, as well as the citizen. When they get alert on their phone, it'll tell them specifically where that AED is. It'll show them the picture so they could have a reference, like it's outside the bathrooms, and they can have a picture. So there's a lot of features to this that could really make a difference and make it easy for a citizen to respond quickly and help.
So that kind of covers the AED part, and sort of like if somebody's out there and wants to have an AED. But let's say there's somebody who's watching or listening right now, and they're really curious to want to get involved in this, and maybe they aren't certified in CPR, but they'd like to be. Do you guys offer any sort of certifications or any sort of classes for that? So
we do. When we launched PulsePoint, we also launched our internal hands-only CPR and AED awareness class to the citizens. And we offer the class twice a month here in the county complex. Once is a morning class at 10 o'clock and once is in the evening to try to help people that work or people that are retired, make it easy for them. We allow 20 people in a class, and it's really easy to sign up. It's chesterfield.gov/CPR.
Okay.
When you go to that website, we have links and information on PulsePoint, the two apps, how to download them, links to their website, which has some great information and some tutorial videos that show you how to work through the app if you have any questions, as well as a sign-up area to register for one of our classes. You can register for months out. And during that class, it's only an hour long. You don't actually get a certification because that's the point. We want this to be quick, easy, simple. We teach you how to do hands-only CPR. We have mannequins so you can actually physically do it one time and make sure, build up your confidence. So you know you've done it. Do it, and then give you some awareness on AEDs, what they look like, how to activate them, because they are so simple. But if you've never turned one on and you've never, tried it, you may not know what you're doing in the time. In the heat of the moment when, adrenaline's rushing and, a lot's going on, if you've seen it once before and you've touched it and you've messed with it before, it really builds up your confidence.
Absolutely.
So we offer these classes twice a month going on for good. So, really that's the key is that learn CPR, which we could teach you CPR. Download the app, which is free. You go to your cell phone's Google Store, Apple Store, and download it. Follow Chesterfield. Set the alert to, be willing to do CPR. Now, out of the 725 people that are using the app, less than half are willing or have marked that they know CPR and
Right.
want to do it. So
Right.
we want that number up.
Yeah, right.
Because this only works if there's people around.
Right.
If no one's around a quarter of a mile, no one's going to
Yeah.
be alerted. It's not going
Right.
to work. So
Yeah.
we need a lot of people trained, a lot of people downloading the app and willing. And I'm sure those other 500 people that haven't hit that location, it's not that they don't want to help. They may
Right.
just have no training in CPR.
Right.
So if they know that we offer the class to the residents of the county, it's 1 hour and you're trained.
Yeah, good deal. Well, Sal, thank you very much for joining us today and talking to us about PulsePoint. Hopefully, folks out there will download the app if you're comfortable with CPR. If you're somebody who wants to get involved, check out what the classes and things that they're offering. But Sal, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
All right, let's get you out of here. Now, you can follow us on social media. On Twitter, it's at Chesterfield VA, and on Instagram, it's Chesterfield Virginia, all one word. And on Facebook, you can check out our podcast page. Just search Chesterfield Behind the Mic. Make sure to like that page so you can keep up with us as we go forward. Now, let me tell you about the ways you can check us out. You can watch the show on YouTube as well as on our website, chesterfield.gov/podcast. An audio-only version of the show is available there, as well as on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, and a whole host of other services. You can also watch the podcast on WCCT Thursday through Sunday at 7 and on the weekends at noon. That's Comcast Channel 98 and Verizon Channel 28. Lastly, you can check out chesterfield.gov/connect with us for more information on how you can get in touch with us, and certainly in ways that we can reach out to you. My thanks to Martin Stith, Susan Pollard, and everybody here in Communications Media for making this happen. And my thanks to you for joining us today. So, for all of us here in Chesterfield, thanks very much for making us part of your day. We'll see you again soon. Take good care.